Hi, Eric Lanask. We're here at the Rio in Las Vegas at ITEXPO, and I'm talking with Adam Boone. Adam is with Certes Networks. Adam, thanks for coming and joining us on the program this morning.
Thanks a lot, Eric. Glad to be here.
So, let's jump right into it. Enterprises are doing a lot with VPNs, really beneficial if they can get them done right.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges that they're facing today?
Yeah, so really the challenges around protecting data in motion, VPNs, these sort of things, the technologies haven't really kept pace with applications themselves. You know, you got your typical enterprise today, they have applications that they need to be extending across the traditional borders. So they're looking at taking an application, say it's healthcare, say they're a hospital, and they have patient data in an application, and they want to be able to extend that from the data center, say out to a regional hospital, say to some doctors and pharmacists who may be using their personal devices in their locations. They want to be able to extend it into the cloud perhaps for some sort of processing or something like that. And the issue is that you need to touch 22, 25, 27 different systems to set up tunnels, to set up VPNs, and it's extremely fragmented. Very, very difficult to manage. Very hard to ensure the configuration is correct. What you end up doing is often leaving gaps and having issues with performance and having issues with really not protecting the data end to end.
So what are some of the things, or how can enterprise defragment that situation, if you will?
That's a great term. Yeah, defragmentation is really what my company does. So we make what we call crypto flow solutions. These are one and done VPNs. They enable you to protect from any server, any application, to any endpoint over any network, and provide state-of-the-art cryptography all through that path. A crypto flow, think of a crypto flow as where SDN meets cryptography. It's security and SDN. There's one point of control, end-to-end, for any app over any network to any endpoint.
Even if you're going across your enterprise network through the cloud, through the carrier network to a mobile device somewhere?
Exactly. Yeah, so that example I gave earlier of the healthcare system, so you could take our solution and with one point of control, you can set up a group VPN, a crypto flow, that would go from that data center to the cloud, to the doctor's offices, to the regional offices and the regional hospitals, and even to the employee smartphones. And it would be one big mesh, an overlay, that allows them all to communicate securely. But the beauty of it is, what it's doing in the background is configuring all those complex tunnels and doing all that configuration without the enterprise manager needing to worry about it. It's extremely powerful.
So what does the enterprise manager then have to contend with in terms of any additional management that's going to be required, or does it actually alleviate the management needs?
Yeah, it really does alleviate the management needs. So today, to set up a secure end-to-end connection for these devices and these servers like I'm talking about, an enterprise manager, an IT manager, it's essentially rocket science. I mean, they really need to be able to do command line interface into a lot of different devices. They need to configure firewalls, they need to configure routers, they need to configure switches, access concentrators, VPN devices, the list goes on and on and on. And that doesn't even touch what happens when you have to actually configure the iPhones or the Androids themselves, right, the Android devices themselves. So instead of all that mess, that haphazard hodgepodge, we give you one point of configuration. It's literally point and click. So you're able to designate these things need to be protected for this application, for these users. The system goes out, it figures out at whatever layer that needs to happen, whether it's layer 2, whether it's layer 4, whether it's IPsec, whatever has to happen, our system goes out, figures that out, it pushes it out into the network, and it just happens.
So Adam, one of the sessions I managed yesterday, we were talking about the massive volumes of devices out there with people with 2, 3, 4, 5 devices that they use. So how do you handle the user identities across all the different devices that people might need to use?
Sure. The way our system handles it is an individual is actually identified by their role, okay? And an individual user is given certain access rights to particular applications. Now, these work with your standard systems. So you may have, a directory that is determining that sort of profiling of individual users and what they're allowed to access. We go off of that and we designate specific VPNs, group VPNs, that then allow the applications to be accessed by those users and their devices. And so this can vary across whatever endpoint the user may be choosing to use. The beauty of this is that it's not like a firewall, it's not like a router or switch where it's static, okay? You set up the tunnel and then you hope it's going to be protecting the data. Instead, what this allows you to do is actually follow the users, their devices, and the data wherever it goes. It truly is borderless security, and that's the breakthrough here.
Is it possible that enterprise managers, IT managers, tasked with protection of their data and their applications are going to see this as a replacement or as an alternative for other security measures and forego some of those that they probably may not want to forego?
Yeah, so we generally view it with the customers we've been working with, and we've been around for 15 years. We've got thousands of product installations in 70 countries around the world, and typically we see one of two cases. Either they have VPNs and different types of controls that are already established. Well, our system works with those because we're using standards.
Okay.
We're able to interoperate, we're able to figure out how we can actually complement, say, some of the existing controls they've got. But in many cases, this ends up replacing something that they're doing. A big benefit of it is it doesn't have any burden on the network because we're not doing something that is increasing the processing burden on, say, your routers or your switches, like a traditional VPN might. It also is independent of the firewalls. It's also independent of the applications themselves. The way this works is we have these lightweight but extremely sophisticated encryption points that actually drop into the network or drop into the virtual environment, and these are actually handling all the policies and setting up the various configurations for the crypto flows. That's independent of the network, it's independent of the applications, so there is zero impact. The network manager can spend his or her time managing the network, making sure performance is going through. They don't have to spend their time creating and setting up messy tunnels.
They can do what they're actually supposed to be doing.
Exactly
Excellent.
right.
Adam, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Eric. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the interest.